People from complex trauma don't deal well with stress. And this is so important because complex trauma, being in danger, is all about stress. Your stress system is constantly activated. So let me back up and say this. Stress is a natural system in our body that is engaged or activated every time we face a problem, we face a task, we face an event that we got to perform, we got to solve a problem. So it says there's a problem here that has to be dealt with. There's a situation that needs extra energy. So the stress system is activated. And so it requires emotional energy, intellectual energy, and physical energy. All three aspects require energy. What's important to understand is there's two types of distress, eustress and distress. So eustress is good stress, distress is negative stress. So eustress is the stress I need to get out of bed in the morning, to perform on my job, to be involved with my kids. It's the pressure put on me to do what is right, to do what is healthy. I need that kind of pressure to keep going. It breaks me out of inertia that I naturally go to. Distress, on the other hand, is too much stress that I can't resolve, that begins to pull me in a negative direction. So let me take you to the child with complex trauma. Their needs are not being met. They're being hurt. They're in danger. So they've got an environment that's constantly creating stress for them. They can't resolve it. Nobody's giving them the tools. Nobody's giving them this support to resolve it. So they can't develop healthy ways to handle the stress. So let me back up and say this. A child coming into the world has no natural tools to handle stress. They must be taught how to handle stress. So they come to feeding themselves. That stresses them out. Mom and dad teach them how to feed themselves, tying their shoes, riding their bikes, handling, making their bed. Every little problem causes them stress. Mom and dad come beside them, encourage them, validate them, teach them tools, and support them as they learn the skills. And so what you can see is from 0 to 20, a child is learning thousands and thousands of little tools that each one is handling a problem. Each one is creating their ability, expanding their window of tolerance for problem situations. What happens in complex trauma is nobody's coming along to teach them tools. Nobody's coming along to support them. So they're not growing incrementally in their toolbox for handling the problems of life. What becomes their only way of dealing with the stress? Fight or flight or freeze. Get out of here. This is going to hurt us. And so at a very early age, as soon as there's stress, even low-level stress, that's jumping off point to fight or flight. So let me go back. What is it that actually is happening when parents come beside a child who faces a problem? So they get dysregulated by the stress. This is too much for me. I can't handle it. They cry. The parents come and they connect. They act as co-regulators. The parents teach them the tools to meet that problem. The parent meets their needs. All of those are part of the learning to deal with stress. And so complex trauma, the child doesn't get that. And so they have a low stress tolerance and they're not even aware of it. They just go to fight or flight. So many people coming into adult life don't even realize that their stress is building. They don't realize they're under stress or they're feeling stressed out until the needle is in the red. So on a scale of 1 to 10, they don't even detect their stress until it's 9 or 10 because all of their life has been stressful. That's been their default setting. They're normal. They don't even realize when they're at 3, 4, and 5 because that's all just in their subconscious. They just live with that all the time. And so the problem is that when they're getting to 5, 6, 7, it's not yet on the radar. It's not yet in the red. They're not even consciously aware that they're stressed, but they're already going to fight or flight. They're already going to the old toolbox to handle the stress. And so part of recovery is learning to detect my stress levels when they're at a lower level. Not wait until they're 9 and 10, but to detect them earlier. So just be aware of things that create extra stress on your nervous system. That's a good place to start. So anytime you feel that you don't have power in a situation, you feel out of control, you feel dominated, you feel overwhelmed, anytime you feel vulnerable, you feel anxiety, you feel depression, those are all adding stress to you. Anytime you feel threatened or attacked, anytime there's conflict in relationships, anytime you go through separation or loss or you're feeling lonely, that's adding stress to your system. Anytime you go through change or transitions, anytime there's a disruption in your daily routine, that adds stress to your system. When you get memories of past events that were painful, that adds stress to your system. So be aware of that. Then be aware of the early warning signs that stress is affecting you. So physical warning signs. You might start having trouble sleeping, or you might just want to sleep all the time. Or you might feel your blood pressure is going up, you're getting tight muscles, you're getting headaches, you're tightening your jaw, you're getting pain in your eyes. Be aware of the physical symptoms that stress is building. Then be aware of thoughts that start to change. So you can't turn your brain off. You're worrying all the time. You're obsessing. You're starting to go back to your internal critic and beat yourself up, put yourself down. You're jumping to the worst case scenario. You're becoming more negative and critical of everything. Or you get brain fog. You can't think straight, or you just have brain chatter happening all the time. Then be aware of other emotions that start to happen that are negative. When you get more stressed, you usually get more angry and irritable. Everything starts to annoy you. Anger is very close to the surface. You're not as patient with people. You're not as tolerant. You feel overwhelmed very quickly, and that leads you to just feeling hopeless. So as soon as you get a bit of stress, oh, give up. This is too much. You can't tolerate it at all. You just go to feeling overwhelmed and hopeless and depressed. Some just quickly go to panic. Some go to almost a catatonic state. They can't think. They're frozen. Some go to self-pity. Poor me, life sucks. Everybody's against me, and they go there emotionally. Then look at changes in your actions. So now instead of wanting to connect with people, you want to isolate. Now you just want to do distractions all the time. Be busy, busy, busy doing stuff. You're antsy. You can't sit still. You have difficulty being present to other people in conversations, to your children. You feel powerless to do anything, or you just spend all your day organizing. It doesn't matter, but you do it. Or you talk constantly, or you don't talk at all. Or you eat a lot, or you don't eat at all. So those changes are early warning signs that stress is building. Now, what is important for people from complex trauma to realize is that when stress has been your default setting, when you haven't got tools for dealing with situations properly, often you become your own worst enemy. So stress was initially created by the external world. Now you create stress for yourself. So you set unrealistic expectations for yourself that you can never meet. That creates stress. You expect everything to be done perfectly the first time. You expect everything to be hassle-free. You create stress for yourself. You try to control others. That creates stress for yourself. You don't plan. You just spontaneously bounce around. That creates stress for yourself. You procrastinate. You stick your head in the sand. You avoid problems. That creates stress for yourself. So what you're trying to do, your brain has been trained to just live for instant gratification. So you avoid stress by doing something that immediately makes it feel less stressful in the moment, but it creates greater stress down the road. You're afraid to say no. That creates more stress down the road. You let yourself get involved in unhealthy relationships and don't set boundaries with unhealthy people. That creates more stress. You become preoccupied with what others think. You live with a guilty conscience that you haven't sorted out. You have a fear of change, a fear of failure, constant anxiety. That adds stress. You have all these resentments and unresolved conflicts that just eat away inside of you. That creates stress. You get into this negative thinking and awfulizing, catastrophizing everything. That creates stress. You go to the victim mentality, the self-pity, that creates stress. You don't believe you can be a burden to anybody else because that would make you a pain, so you just try to take everything on yourself and never ask for help. That creates stress. You become addicted to chaos. That creates stress. So be aware of the internal maladaptive behaviors that actually add to your stress life.